Today I'm going to be building. Hey guys, Elizabeth, the curly-haired country gal here, and you guys are going to have to help me decide if this was a great idea or if this was a total disaster. Let's do this thing. So I love reusing things if possible, and when we moved to the property that we're on, there was a bunch of vinyl siding left over. We were thinking about just tossing it, and then the hoarder in me, the project person in me was like, let's just hang on to it. Maybe we can use it someday. That day has come. I've been needing to get some sort of structure in the orchard over the feeders for the chickens for a while because I really am trying to eliminate waste. And every time it rained, just the grain was soaked. And I tried to soak the grains anyway, but it just became a sloppy mess. And then the chickens wouldn't eat it, and it's just way wasteful. So anyway, I decided to get some sort of cover. And at first I thought, well, I could do a dog house. And so I was looking online for dog houses that I could use to put my feeder in. But dog houses are more expensive than I expected. I think the new ones, the new Igloo ones at Walmart, I think are like over $100, $160, $170 maybe. I'm not sure on that. But people were selling them used for $80, $90, $100, or homemade ones for $180, even more for larger ones. And so I thought, man, I'm sure I can make one for less than that. So that's what led to this project. I'm going to show you the supplies you're going to need, the tools you'll need, and then the supplies I use. This is something that is very much just to get you brainstorming about how you can make your own things. Even if you're an amateur, I'm an amateur. This is my first time building something by myself with wood. Normally I have my husband's help or somebody else to help me. And this is my first time doing something solo, and there are some quirks, there are some flaws, but overall, I think it turned out pretty well. So I'm going to show you how I made it, and then I'll show you what it looked like at the end. So to get this project started, I'm going to go ahead and set up my saw, and I'm going to go ahead and rip some 2x4s that I have. I tried to make this project as efficient as possible as far as board use, and I think I did pretty well, so we'll see as the project progresses. Here we go. All right, I'm ready to start ripping the boards. So now I'm just going to take some 1 5/8 inch deck screws and go ahead and make two 2-foot squares, and then go ahead and turn that into a cube. Okay, the first one's done. Now, I'm using my 1 5/8, I'm going to be using my, I think that'll be long enough, 1 5/8 inch screws to get a little corner piece that I already happen to have, just some scrap pieces to support this corner, because I did this first square for the base, and I'm going to go ahead and do the legs next, and I'll show you why, but I'm going to go ahead and use a couple of these to just go ahead and support the corners, or you could get braces. I would recommend getting something though, as opposed to just leaving them be, just to support them a little bit. Okay, so I got the bottom frame down and the legs on and some supports, and you can see a little pile of broken ones. I did crack quite a few by drilling too far, so you gotta be careful with that. But with this top row, one thing I'm excited about doing, oh yeah, put those down, thank you buddy. I have the 2 by 24 inch, 2 by 2 by 20 inch, 24 inch. Now what I did was I went ahead and cut a V out of it using the table saw there again, so that then after this top layer is done, this top, the roof of the frame, I can go ahead and just put the next 24 inch piece right on top, and then when I'm making the roof piece, the boards can just be straightened out to make a bunch of extra cuts, and then when I put the USB Is that right? No, I'm sorry. When I put the panel on, it can screw right into it and have a really good grip. So I'm going to go ahead and finish making this top part of the frame. Now with this, because I cut into the wood, I'm going to go ahead and be drilling a diagonal hole down to secure it into the leg as opposed to going straight down, just so I don't risk splitting this and so I don't mess up the lines I'm trying to make here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to use this 2.5-inch screw because the 3-inch is going to be too long. It's going to poke through the other side, and then 1 5/8 I don't think it's going to be quite enough. So I'm going to go ahead and try this one. You might hear my kids singing in the background. But anyway, now I'm going to go ahead and make the other frame for the top. And this is where I have those notched boards. So I'm going to go ahead and secure this together and then put it onto this structure. Now, because of all the notches and stuff I'm putting into these boards, to secure it together, I'm actually turning it upside down and I'm securing it with these scraps from the top, I'm sorry, from the bottom of what will be the top of what will be the roof. So that'll give a little bit of ventilation, and then it'll prevent the boards that I made from splitting. Well, it's getting dark. I'm going to have to be done with this project for tonight pretty soon. But I do have the frame put together. I'm just going to be securing it. And then tomorrow, or maybe tonight, can start working on getting the roofing part on. Now, I would, if I was better with the saw and with angles, I might have liked a little bit more of a shallow angle, because this is going to make a really, a higher roof than I really need. But that's okay. This is a learning experience. But I'm going to go ahead and secure the top here. And I did find a few braces that I have, so I might go ahead and use these to support the legs as well. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. So this is how our structure is looking so far. It feels pretty sturdy. I might still support it a little bit, especially maybe with some more diagonal pieces. But I have these 2-foot sections that can just sit in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use the circular saw here and, well, the dog's excited about something. And go ahead and cut these pieces to go ahead and make the roof supports. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it actually to see where to cut them. And then I have this piece, this scrap piece of PVC light, PVC corrugated, a corrugated sheet of plastic basically that's treated to be outside, and then I'm going to use this for the roof. So this is how I'm going to just eyeball it to see how to cut it. So I just kind of put these up here. I'm trying to get them flush so they stay at that nice angle, and so I went ahead and just marked on my boards right up there, and it's looking like this board's going to be 18 inches, and this one's going to be 15 5/8. So I'll go ahead and use my square here to mark those and then cut them. Okay, so these pieces ended up being 18 and 15 1/4, and not perfectly square, but I'm okay with it. This is gonna work fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut another 18 and 15 1/4 piece, and I went ahead and secured these 2-foot boards. So I'm gonna get these last ones going. Okay, so this is looking pretty good, I think. I got the roof piece on, and I did figure out, excuse me again, that this scrap piece that I have is just a little too short. If I put it up here, it doesn't go down quite as far as I want, which is fine, because I have another scrap piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one in half. This one's 42 inches, so that'll be just about perfect, because I wanted at least 20 inches on each side. And then I'll go ahead and secure that and then get the vinyl on the side. Okay, so I got my handy dandy assistant here and my chalk line, and I'm going to go ahead and mark. I'm going to go ahead and cut 20 inches on one side, and then the other side will have a little over 21 inches with just a little bit of hangover, so that'll be nice. Now with my trusty tin snips, I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Ew, this is getting messier than I thought, so I'm going to do something else. So I just ended up using an angle grinder, or a grinder for the cut. That worked fine. The blade was kind of thick, so I should have used a smaller one. But I got my pieces now, so I'm happy with how these turned out. I'm just going to go ahead and use some 1.5-inch pole barn screws just to have a little bit of a water seal and go ahead and attach these. Now here, unfortunately, I have kind of a hump here in the PVC. In the future, I would probably plan better where to put this trellis thing. I'm not sure what that's what it's called. But so for now, I think I'm just going to do my best to kind of angle it in so it's not straight into the ridge. Just kind of learning as I go here. Again, I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. But if I did it again, I'd probably go ahead and put the trellises all the way out on the edge, floppy over here on the edges, and I would have liked to have that firmed up. So just something for me to keep in mind for next time. All right, so the roof's on, and now I'm going to go ahead and use this leftover vinyl siding that I have to put some walls on it. I want the siding to come up all the way to up here, so when the rain comes down and the wind blows, I don't want a lot of stuff getting in. I would rather have a gap at the bottom than at the top, which is going to mean that the bottom wood is going to be exposed and will wear out faster. But I don't think there's a way to, I mean, I guess I could just cut one of these, just kind of rip one of these and then go ahead and just put it on the bottom. Actually, I guess I might do that since they're scraps anyway. But it looks like it'll be about, I want this one to end here, and I have to start at the bottom with the vinyl siding. So then this one will go right here. And then I guess first I could just go ahead and put a couple screws in this bottom panel here after I trim it, and just not lock it with the next two pieces. So that's probably what I'll do. Okay, so the first wall is up. I went ahead and put that bottom piece in, and then I used some nails and screws. I went ahead and used screws at the top because I couldn't really nail underneath the roof. So again, if you've made stuff before, I'm sure you were like, why is she putting the roof on before she's finishing the walls? That's something I would do differently next time. I was excited to get this up, but I gotta go in the right order. Marked the first cut, and then I cut them, and then I just cut the others according to this piece. I didn't measure them and mark them, so I would probably be a little bit more precise in the future. And now as I go to this back edge, I'm thinking I'm gonna overlap it on both sides just a little bit, so I'll probably do the far side away from the camera first, and then go ahead and work my way back. Yeah, and then as you can see with these angle cuts I made, I would just do it, I would just have more practice in the future. But I tried to get this cut so that I could put this board in the middle and it could be centered, but it ended up not being quite flush. So that is just kind of 1.5 inches in. And then this up on this side is kind of the same way. It's just kind of 1.5 inches in. Okay, so the second wall is up, and I went ahead and measured where I want my lines to be on here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark and cut these, this vinyl siding. All right, I got my pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the pieces up here. I am pre-drilling my holes a little bit just to make the nails go in a little easier, but here we go. Alrighty, there we go. This is the point at which I envision being done, but I don't think I'm quite done yet. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I've got 3 walls on, but I think I am going to go ahead and take this other scrap piece of PVC that I have, the corrugated PVC, and go ahead and cut off all this access that the rain would have to the feeder. And I might So just turning it around. I'm going to do the same thing in the front, and then I'm thinking about putting in a support here and going ahead and putting some of this extra PVC or this extra siding I have anyway up here, just to cut off all of this space from rain as well. So we'll see. I think I'm going to do that. I think that'd be the best thing to do. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece to go ahead and put it. You know, at first I was pretty not upset. I was kind of embarrassed about this design and how it was coming along. But you know, the more I'm working on it, the more I like it. So I went ahead and cut and put in a support right here and cut my final 3 pieces of vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on, and then I can close it up here, and then I think I'm going to be done. Okay, so the roof is on, the rain guards are up, and I'm going to show you what this thing looks like. So I think I only had to purchase like 3 2x4s, and I just used the lumber, the construction lumber. So that was only like, I don't know, maybe $4 a board. So that's 12 bucks. I already had the screws and some of the, and I already had this scrap PVC corrugated sheet, and I already had the vinyl and the nails. So I spent $12 on this, and I think for $12, I think this is great. Now, one thing I probably should have thought about was to make the opening big enough to actually put the feeder in. So I'm going to have to lift the feeder up, which, again, this is a learning experience. But overall, I'm really happy with this. Yeah, there's a few areas of weakness up here. There are some gaps where water can get through. But again, I mean, we're reducing the amount of water that can get to this thing by like 95%. So I'm okay with, you know, a little bit of water up here. Looks like I can tighten that screw a little bit. And then the other weak part here is these corners. You know, I tried to get them long enough to overlap the wood. I just kind of eyeball things. I could be much more precise next time. So this wood is exposed. But the back, I think, looks pretty well covered, pretty well protected. Yeah, so again, I think this is totally worth it. The total time for this project, I didn't keep super good track of exactly how long it was, but it definitely took a few hours. I think the first night of ripping and cutting the wood took maybe 45 minutes. And then today I've been working since about 11 a.m. and I think it's around 2 when there was a lunch break in there. So maybe 3 or 4 hours total. I think it turned out pretty good, and I'm excited to go put it up in the orchard.